When we get there, 2 Marines die from an improvised explosive device, day 1.
How did death affect you the first time?
I had to have the weapon on me. I ended up getting caught. There was something going on called stop and frisk.
Tell us that experience on Rikers Island as a U.S. Marine. Anthony Lopez grew up in the South Bronx, joined the Marines to escape the streets, served in Iraq, and then one mistake got him discharged, sent to Rikers Island, and eventually to New York State Prison. Today, he shares the raw story of how he went from soldier to inmate and what he learned along the way. Tone, welcome to Locked In. Thanks so much for coming to Miami. You left Miami to come to a little bit of the fall, colder weather, but you're here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me on the platform.
Yeah, and we got a guest today doing the interview. We've been trying to kick her out, but she wanted to stay.
She wanted to check my paperwork.
She came to check your paperwork. This is Bella. Hard launched her on the Instagram. We had just adopted her from Dawes and Danbury this past weekend. She's a little sweet 4-year-old Jack Russell Terrier.
Shout out Bella.
She's really attached now. This is her first interview. She's been in the room. So if you act up, you're getting the boot, Bella.
Bella, you saw my paperwork. You know what's going on.
Did you grow up in Miami?
No, I'm from the Bronx, born and raised.
What was that like growing up?
The Bronx was a beautiful nightmare. It was in my home. There was nothing but love. I grew up with both parents. I had everything I needed, Ian, at home. When I walked outside my building, hip hop was being created outside my door. Things that go on in a poor neighborhood in the Bronx. But the Bronx is a beautiful place. Just at home, that's where the love was. Once you left that door, there was no love outside.
What did your parents do for work?
My parents were regular middle class. My mother worked in a real estate office, and my father was the super of the buildings on the block where I grew up in. So my father was always around. My mother, hardworking Latino people. I'm Dominican and Puerto Rican, so I have those roots. It was a beautiful place to grow up, but a disaster all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Why do you say disaster? Because
outside, it was all the influences. It was what goes on in a poor community. Drug dealing, stealing, robbing. I never looked at it like it was us against each other in the community. I always looked at it like it was us against the system. There was love, but there was also chaos. And that's what comes along with the drug dealing and what comes along with the drug use and poverty as well. Everybody's trying to make it out. There's a million ways out the hood, but no signs say out.
Do you feel like your family struggled with poverty?
I feel like my parents gave me the best that they could. I feel like that although we lived in a bad neighborhood, they made sure that I had clothes on my back, food on the table every night. It was just love. It was love at home, and it was a great place to be. And we were all affected by it in some way or another. Shootouts in the hood. People using drugs. People stealing. We tried to make the best out of a difficult situation. Latinos, we have this camaraderie amongst each other, and we have this community amongst each other. That's truly a beautiful thing, and that's what you see in the Bronx. It was like a fairy tale, like the movie. You ever seen A Bronx Tale, Ian? Yeah, that's how I grew up, going to Morris Park, getting a slice, going to Yankee Stadium, riding the trains, cutting school. My mother, she tried to, hold on to me, but I was seduced by the culture. Like I said, hip-hop was being created right outside my door, and the street culture was, hip-hop derives from the street culture.
What were some values your parents instilled in you as a kid?
Integrity. My mother was big on integrity, hard work. My mother always told me, even if you clean in a toilet, do it with excellence. And that's something that I always took with me my whole life. Everything you do it well. Show up early to places. Keep your word. Those are values that were instilled in me growing up by my parents, two hardworking individuals who try to give their kids the best that they can do under the circumstances that they were in.
Do you feel like your parents were strict on you?
Yes. I feel like my parents were strict. Like I said, my mother tried to keep me in the house. But, after a while, she couldn't keep me in the house, and I had to be a man, and I ventured out, and I wanted to see what the world outside had for me.
How old were you when you first experienced the world?
I say about 16. At about 16, I was in a place where my mother couldn't control me. She couldn't tell me stay at home. My mother was more the disciplinarian in the household. You see that a lot in Latino household. My mother was the one throwing the chancleta and screaming, and my father was kind of like, yo, listen, I don't want no problems with her, man. So she was kind of the tough one. And my father, he kind of tried to keep me out of trouble and always asked me, you need something, you need money, I love you, son. I had a lot of love growing up. It was just the outside environment that affects you when you grow up in the boogie down.
Do you think if you were taught more about the outside environment in your younger years, it could have went differently?
I think so. I think communication is key. I'm a father of two, so I try to keep it real with my children. My daughter Madison, she's 15, and my son Zion, he's gonna be 6. And I speak to my daughter about what's really out there. I feel like my mother took more the approach of trying to shield me and trying to keep me from it, because that's what her heart told her to do at the time. When you become a parent, you realize how difficult it is. When you're a kid, everybody thinks their parents don't know shit.
How would you have described yourself as a teenager?
As a teenager, I was ambitious. Growing up, I always wanted more. That's why I wanted to go outside. I was seduced by, the drug dealer with the gold chain and the drop top Beamer with the light skinned girl, because, growing up 80s, 90s, 2000s, that's what was out there. And I wanted a piece. I wanted a piece of the pie. I wanted to feel the power of what it felt like when, the guy who had the block walks through and everybody's just looking in awe, and he has all the jewelry and all the opportunities, because they say, hey, there's opportunities out here. But the only opportunity, or the first opportunity that you encounter when you grow up in the Bronx is illegal activity. You say to yourself, hey, this is what's going to get me out of here. College seems far-fetched. It all seems like a dream, because what's in front of you is the reality.
What was the thing that you thought would get you out of there?
I didn't know. At the time, I was just trying to find myself. I loved hip-hop. Hip-hop culture was being created in the Bronx at that time. So I knew I wanted to do something in the hip-hop industry, because we were all affected by it. Our fashion, what we wear, how we talk, even getting involved in street activity. It all goes along with hip-hop culture, and it becomes one. So it's something that, you're attracted to when you're young.
So what happens at 16?
At 16, I start to venture out in the street, doing petty stuff, selling marijuana, small time, just trying to really find myself and see what's going on. My mother's trying to desperately keep me in the house. She used to take me to church. I grew up in church. It reached me to a point. And then after that, I was totally, I wanted to just have my own thoughts and kind of go outside and see what I could do with the environment. And that's what it was, growing up in the streets, hanging out with your friends in front of the building. People getting shot, drugs being sold. It was normal. It was normal. And what saved me from, the fate of having a life sentence or getting killed, I feel was like the love that I had at home. The love and that support system that no matter what happened outside, I could always go home. And I could always have that love inside the house.
Were you a good student in high school? Were you taking it seriously?
No, I wasn't a good student. I was always smart. I was always ambitious. I just learned differently. I felt like I learned differently than others. Everybody's not going to be able to read a book and get 100 on the, and the SATs and all that stuff. Some of us learn differently. I'm a visual learner. I love podcasting. I love journalism. I love all of those things. So I feel like the teachers were just paid to show up and leave. Nobody learns, nobody succeeds. They just pass you. So a lot of it is, like I said, is the system. It was us in the environment fighting the environment and the system trying to hold us and keep us down. But there was love in the community.
Were you thinking about college?
No. I thought about college one time in the 10th grade. And then I went to go see a counselor. And the counselor told me that based on my grades, I would never make it to college. That's what she said. She said, you'll never be in college. Your grades are terrible.
So where does that even leave a kid when you're being told that at 10th grade? How are you even supposed to think about the future or any type of future when you're being told that?
It leaves you confused. It leaves you confused as to your next steps. And, you go back to the mentality like, hey, I need to be doing what my homie is doing on the street. I need to be doing what my guys are doing because, there's no hope because there's only certain ways out. That's what's presented to you. College, military, my parents weren't really entrepreneurs. They worked hard and they were good, hard workers. But, they didn't really have like an entrepreneurial aspect.
What type of people were you hanging around?
I was hanging around the guys in my neighborhood. New York is different. I feel like in some places it's segregated. I love Miami, but Miami is a little bit more, and I'm speaking toward, the poverty-stricken places is more segregated. Where New York, it doesn't matter if you black, white, Jewish. If you live in the projects, if you live in the hood, you just like us, and you part of us. So I hung out with everybody. The wonderful thing about growing up in New York is the diversity, the people you get to meet. I had friends that were Italian that lived in Morris Park, and they would take me to their houses, and I would eat, lasagna and have fresh mozzarella and just be exposed to all these different cultures besides my own. Because I was exposed to Dominican and Puerto Rican culture in the Bronx and in my neighborhood. But when I left my neighborhood was when I got exposed to different cultures and realized what truly a melting pot New York really is.
Did you get into any trouble at all in your teenage years?
Small trouble. I feel like my mother saw the path I was going on, and she really was trying to push me toward joining the military, because in her mind, that was the way out. She seen where I was going, which, ended up there anyway, but she seen where I was going, and she kind of said, hey, I need to get my son out of this. I need to figure out a way for my son to leave this area. And that was one of the ways. But growing up, I couldn't really see past the neighborhood. Everything was what was around me. I was just trying to survive the neighborhood, and just growing up as a regular kid is just the extreme environment causes you to have different thoughts and just, want to explore these different things that's out there.
So did your mom put military in your mind for the first time?
Yeah. She met a Marine, a recruiter, and she saw him with the dress blues, and he started talking that stuff to her, and she took his card and brought it back to me and asked me what I thought about it, because she was just a mother seeing that her son was headed down the wrong path, and she wanted me to, not go down that path like any parent would.
What did you know about the military?
I knew nothing. I knew absolutely nothing. There was one kid in my neighborhood that joined the Marines, and then he quickly moved. I knew nothing. I knew what I saw on TV.
Did it interest you when she brought it up to you?
No. I didn't have an interest. I wanted to hang outside in front of the building. I wanted to be out. I wanted to, explore drug dealing further in order to see what I could achieve. I wanted the Beamer. I wanted the Cuban Link. I wanted all the things that the guys had in the neighborhood. So I never thought about the military at all.
Which route do you end up taking? Do you go after the drugs and the Beamer and the chain, or do you go for the military or something else?
So my mother gave me an ultimatum. She said, well, either you join the military or I can't have you in the house, doing negative things. My mother is a Christian to this day. She's a born-again Christian. She loves Jesus. She's a woman that, my mother never broke the law. My mother gets a speeding ticket, and for her, she's not a good American. She's very special. She's very strict, and she believes in positive all the time. She loves everybody as she loves herself, and she wanted to really get me out of that mode.
So you end up joining the military?
Yeah. So I ended up joining. She kicked me out the house. I lived with my grandmother at the time, and my grandmother passed away in my arms. One day, my grandmother was having a heart attack. I saw that she was not well, because my mother said, "Hey, if you don't join the military, if you don't get your act together, you can't live under my roof. It's not happening." So I didn't want to at that time. So I said, I love you. I gotta go. And I moved in with my grandmother. My grandmother passed away in my arms, and it was one of the most saddest moments in my life. After that, I joined.
How old were you when you joined?
I was 18 years old.
And did you get the high school diploma or no?
Yeah, I got the high school diploma. My mother begged me. She said, please, get this diploma. Don't drop out. I wanted to drop out. But she was like, please, just do this. Do it for me. I ended up getting the diploma, and subsequently joining the United States Marine Corps.
Do you think you could have at least gone to a community college? Would the grades have allowed you to do that, or there was no option other than the military?
Absolutely, of course. You don't know. You're going based on what these teachers are telling you that don't really care about you. They don't care about the kids. They just want to show up, get a check, and go. They're not from your neighborhood. They live in Long Island. They live in all these other places. And the love is not there. The love is not there for the student. The love is not there for the job. I know things have changed now, but we're talking about, 25 years ago, as long as it's been when I was in school. And, they're not getting paid the best. They're teachers in the Bronx. So unfortunately, they're not giving their best. So, you're going by what they say. And when you're young, the school counselor has a huge effect on you. The teacher, what the teacher says has a huge effect on you and on your psyche. So you go by what they say and you say, hey, maybe they're right. Maybe I have to be a drug dealer. Maybe I have to be a robber. Maybe I have to be, that's my only future. There's no roadmap. But, soon I would learn that I would look in the mirror and say, I'm my way out. So anybody looking at this podcast, you're your way out.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. You and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. Don't miss any of the excitement this season on Prize Picks, where it's good to be right. Here's what I'm rolling with this week. Daniel Jones, more passing yards. He's playing the Raiders, who have the worst defense in the NFL right now. Jones has been red hot this season, and I think he's going to torch them. Next, I'm taking Bryce Young, more passing yards. The Dolphins have completely fallen apart this year, and quarterbacks have been carving them up week after week. And finally, give me Jalen Hurts, more than one touchdown. The Broncos' defense has been soft against the run, and Jalen is going to take advantage near the goal line. Prize Picks makes it super easy to get in on the action. Just pick 2 to 6 players, hit more or less, and you could cash in. Plus, with their flex play option, you could still win even if one of your picks misses. Withdrawals are fast and secure with Venmo, Apple Pay, and more, so you can get paid just as fast as you win. Download the app today and use code Ian Bick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Ian Bick to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. What year was it that you joined the military?
2003.
So it was in the middle of the war?
Yeah, it was not a good time to join.
What did you know about the war at that point?
I didn't know much. I knew that I was angry because of the World Trade Center. That affected me greatly. I remember being in school and all the alarms are going off. The teachers are all running around frantic. I was a junior in high school, and I knew something bad had happened. I called my mom and she said, come home. As soon as they release you from school, come straight home. And when I went home and you should turn the TV on, and on TV you saw the second plane hit the tower, and it was life-changing for any New Yorker, I'm sure. If you lived in New York during 9/11, you were affected by that, absolutely. So that was major for me.
Did you feel like you had purpose in life for the first time joining the military?
No, I didn't feel like I had purpose. I felt like it was just an escape. I felt like I was going from one extreme, growing up in the Bronx, to another extreme, which is the United States Marine Corps. I didn't feel like it gave me purpose, although the brotherhood is still alive to this day. I speak to my brothers that I served with, and some guys are doing good, some guys are not. But we always try to keep that camaraderie there. But the military didn't give me any purpose. It just gave me an escape out of the Bronx.
Did you go in with a plan like I'm going to just do one term, or did you want to move up, become an officer? What was kind of the plan?
When I got there, I was part of the group that couldn't wait till the 4 years was over to get out. I didn't know what I was getting into. The United States Marine Corps is the roughest and toughest. If the U.S. can't depend on anybody, they depend on the U.S. Marines. So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. When I got to Rikers Island, I realized this was much more than what I bargained for.
Training was probably a wake-up call for you.
Oh, absolutely. The drill instructors, at the end, once you graduate, you understand why they treat you how they do. But when you there, and the drill instructor is trying to kill you every day. When you go to sleep, those are the last guys you see. When you wake up, those are the first guys you see. You think like when the fuck does this guy go to sleep? Go home. What the fuck? Like, they have to train you to go to war. It's very difficult. Rikers Island is a huge wake-up call. You we're going to see who's tough and who's not when you get there. Because the drill instructors, they on you. I mean, they break you down mentally and physically in order for you to have that eagle, globe, and anchor, in order for you to call yourself a Marine at the end. A lot of guys don't make it. Some do.
Do you think it made you more disciplined as a person?
It made me more confident as a person because I said, man, if I can make it through this, I can make it through anything. There's things that I've taken with me now that I live with now. Like I said, trying to be on time everywhere, being organized, things like that. But it gave me confidence. That's what I feel. That's what it did for me.
So you make it through basic training. Do they ship you off right away?
So I make it through basic training. That was rough. And then you go into the Fleet Marine Force where you learn to do your job. I was a mortarman. I was in the infantry. So that was the first mistake I made. I joined the Marine Corps infantry during the wartime. That's a bad idea. Then you learn that the recruiters get paid extra if they put you in the infantry. Like I said, it's the imaginary player, right? Jay-Z, imaginary players, Cardi B, imaginary players. It's the element that you don't know is there that's working against you, that the recruiter gets paid more if they put you in the infantry. So, when you in boot camp, the drill instructor passes by and says, hey, who here joined the infantry? I raise my hand. He got the paperwork. Oh, you be dead. You're not going to make it. You joined the United States Infantry? You joined the Marine Corps Infantry. You're a machine gun in the United States Marine Corps? You'll be dead, son. Bad idea. That's the type of things that they tell you. It's psychological breakdown, but when you going through it, you like, damn, you know what I mean? It's like, it's unbelievable to go through it. It's something you got to be there to know.
And you don't have a choice to switch at that point when they're saying,
Nah, you're not switching, especially when we going to war with Iraq. There's no switching.
So what happens after that?
When after I got out, I joined the fleet. I'm in North Carolina, Camp Lejeune, just learning how to kill. It was infantry, learning how to kill. So that's what you learn. If you're a machine gunner, you learn how to operate the machine gun. If you're a mortarman, you learn how to operate the mortar. If you're an 0311, you learn how to use your rifle, and you learn how to do the job.
Do you think using guns in the military kind of quenched that taste that you had for the streets?
Yeah. I think it took an impressionable young man who already had violent tendencies, and it turned it up. It turned the volume up. It turned the volume up as far as I was almost there, but now when you join the Marine Corps, the time is going to come. The time is coming when I'm going to have to pull the trigger and take a life, and it becomes easy as you go.
But do you think it helped you more rather than being in the streets at that period of time? Like if you had to pick between the streets and the military, being in the military was the right...
I was better in the streets.
Oh, you were better in the streets?
Yeah, I was better in the streets, I feel like. Yeah.
But the streets probably would have led to prison at the time. Granted, that happened either way later in the story, but...
Mm-hmm.
All right, so once you go through Camp Lejeune, what happens?
I'm in Camp Lejeune. We getting ready to go. Hey, we leaving in 6 months. In 6 months, you're going to go to the shit. Most of you not going to make it back. So we getting ready to go. Objective is get to Iraq, do the job, try to survive it, and come back.
Do you feel like you were prepared to go over there?
Physically and training, I was prepared. Mentally, I was not. I wasn't prepared for the beast that I was gonna encounter. I wasn't prepared for losing my friends. I wasn't prepared for killing on a daily. I wasn't prepared for waking up in the morning and shitting in a tin bucket and then having to burn the bucket at night. I wasn't prepared for having to lie to my parents when I call them and say, hey, we see that there's a lot of action going on where you at. How's it? Nah, don't look at that, Ma. It's cool. It's lies. It's cap. What am I going to tell my mother? I'm calling her at 3 a.m. She can't sleep. She's up waiting for that phone call. What am I going to say? I'm here dodging bullets, Ma. I'm not going to say that. I try to spare my mother that grief. And I just told her, don't watch the TV. It's a bunch of bullshit.
Are these things they told you and just didn't register in your mind until they actually happened, or they just never told you about during training?
You can't prepare for that. You can't. That was a war that was new. There was nobody in my platoon that ever went to Iraq. We all was going for the first time. You had veterans, obviously. You had guys that went to Vietnam and Desert Storm and things like that. But nobody was prepared for Operation Iraqi Freedom. We were all learning it as we go. And when you get to Iraq and you realize what's really going on, it's an eye opener. Nobody can prepare you for it. It's like prison. You got to go and be there yourself to really understand.
What was the first moment that hit you when you were out in Iraq?
So we get there. We have to drive from convoy from Kuwait to Al Anbar Providence, Iraq, where we were. There's a group in the Navy called the Seabees, and you can put them anywhere, and they make a makeshift base for you. Anywhere you could put them anywhere with supplies, and these guys are skilled, and they make a base. When we get there, 2 Marines die from an improvised explosive device day one. And one of the Marines that got killed was like, he looks like the guy from Captain America. This guy is the fastest, strongest, best at everything back in the rear, back when in North Carolina. This guy's what the Marine Corps wants you to look like. He dies day one. So I tell myself, I'm definitely getting killed in here. If the guy who's the best in the platoon gets killed day one, I have no chance of survival. And you have to really tap into yourself and tap into you have to turn into a different animal.
How did death affect you the first time?
Seeing somebody die, you mean?
Yeah.
It definitely affected me because it affected me, I felt terrible because these were the guys that I shared meals with. That when we were, we slept in tents together. We were brothers. So to see them lose their lives, the first day we get there was tragic. I realized at that point that I might have made a bad decision at that point.
But at that point, you're in too deep and you can't leave.
Absolutely. In the Marine Corps, there's no retreat, no surrender. There's none of that.
When you got there, did you know how long you were going to physically be there for?
8 months. We knew that was the estimated time frame. Could be longer. Definitely not shorter, but could be longer.
What was a moment that happened there that you still think about to this day?
One day I wake up and a buddy and I were walking toward the makeshift bathroom. And then I realized it was the middle of the night because you couldn't go. If you had to wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, you had to have what they call a battle buddy with you. Somebody with you just in case things pop off. You weren't there by yourself. And me and my brother Dawsonville Woodless, shout out to my brother. As we walked toward the bathroom, I realized that I forgot my helmet. My helmet. And he's like, "Yo, go back and get it." So as we go back and get it, a mortar hits the bathroom where we were going. I would have been dead. If I didn't go back to get the helmet, I'd have died. And he'd have died.
When something like that happens, how do you move forward? Like, do you freeze up in the moment? Does that affect your performance and the minutes, the moments, the days after?
You got to get past it. You can't dwell on it because the objective is survival. I got to get out of here alive. Thank God I didn't have a wife and kids like I have now. I was young. I just had my parents, but I wanted to get back to my parents. I didn't want to die there. I didn't want my story to end like that.
What were you thinking about the future when you were over there?
I wasn't.
You were still just living in the moment?
I wasn't. I was thinking about not getting my head blown off in Iraq. That was objective number one. I wasn't thinking about being an entrepreneur. I wasn't thinking about doing anything. I had my Nas CDs. I had my 50 Cent CDs. And I was listening to hip hop. Hip hop is what I woke up to and went to sleep to. It was that's why I love hip hop, because it was something that it took me out of that environment for a while and brought me back to my neighborhood. But yeah, objective number one was surviving the environment.
Do you think the military made you more mature?
No.
Why?
Mature in what way?
Anyway, in life and perspective, and at that period of time, not now, but back then.
I mean, it exposed me to things that the South Bronx didn't expose me to. The Bronx didn't make me a killer. The Marine Corps made me a killer. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't take a life while I was in the streets.
How does that make you feel?
It's just it's the reality. It's the harsh reality. I think parents don't know what is going on, especially when you grow up in the hood. You know, your parents just want you out. They want you to escape. If you have a good parent, or good parents, they want you to get out the environment, and the system says join the military is a way out.
Do you feel resentment towards your mom for giving you that ultimatum?
No, I don't. Now that I'm a parent, I know that it's the hardest job you can possibly have, being a parent. You love your child so much, and you have views, and you have expectations that you try to, instill in your child, and you just do the best you can. So no, I love my mother to death. I don't resent her. She wanted the best for me at the end of the day.
Knowing what you know now, do you know that there's other options to get out of the street other than the military?
Of course. And anytime I talk to a young person, anytime I'm in the hood and I'm speaking to the guys, I always let them know, man, you got options. But first, you have to change, your stinking thinking. You have to realize that you're your way out. Nothing or nobody can save you but you.
So do you think you still had that negative street life type of thinking throughout your journey through the Marines?
Yeah, that didn't go away. That remained. But the military is it's a tough place, especially the United States Marine Corps, and being deployed and going to Iraq. It's so much PTSD and trauma, that you go through, having to take a life. You say to yourself, because it got to a point that I was like, hey, man, this is not even my beef. This is not my problem. They inspire you when you're there, but it's not my problem. What makes the grass grow? Blood. That's what they teach you.
How long were you in the military for?
I was in the military for 3 years.
And did you just do one tour in Iraq or multiple?
Just one.
What happened when you came back from that first tour?
When I came back, I saw what happens when you come back. You get a big parade. Your family's there. Everybody says you're a hero, but you don't feel like a hero.
Why didn't you feel like a hero?
Because of the things that I had to do to get that title. Even to this day, I struggle with survivor's remorse. Why me? Why did I make it out? Did I kill an innocent person when we ran up in this house and shot everybody? That's what Marines do. We're not there to politic. We're not baking cakes, Ian. You know what I'm saying? We're killing. So, I live with that trauma to this day. I pray daily, that God forgives me for what I had to do. People say, pastors will tell you, or people will tell you, hey, David in the Bible killed and all this, to try to make you feel better. God understands, but the trauma remains. When you have to go into a house, or when you have to kill, and then you realize, hey, we just killed a woman, or we just killed, because the government is telling you these are bad people in there. And the Marine Corps is no I can't, or I won't go in. You're not thinking like that because you want to be there for your brother that's next to you. You don't want to tell your brother, nah, I'm not going to go on this raid, or I'm scared to go on the raid. You're not saying that because I don't want you to die. I want to be there with you. Nah, we going. I'm going with you. They got one of our brothers hostage, or they killed one of ours over there. Who want to volunteer to go over there? We in there. You're not going to touch one of mine and it's going to go unpunished. Because it's not about the Marines at that time. It's about my brother. It's about the love and camaraderie that I have for my brother. It's not about the flag. It's not about the Eagle Globe and Anchor. It's not about the government. It's not about none of that shit. It's about my brother and the love that I got for my brother. That's what it's about at that moment. So that's the motivation to get you to pull the trigger. But that's what they don't tell you before you join.
How, if ever, do you make peace and amends with what you witnessed over there and your actions over there?
Time heals all wounds, or it gets better over time. You know, you're not your greatest mistake. And I believe that there's more to life, and I have a purpose. So my belief in myself is what gets me through it. When I look in the mirror, I say, hey, you that dude, you know, you that nigga, let's go, let's get up, let's get to it. You know what I'm saying? And that's always something that was instilled in me from my parents. You're special. You can be something. And that's what I instill in my children.
How did you spend your rest of your time enlisted once your tour came to an end after those 8 months?
Once those 8 months was over, you come back, and you're not going to be in the Marine Corps and say, hey, I can't sleep because I have PTSD. I need to go see the psychiatrist. The sergeant's going to look at you like you're crazy. You need to see the wizard now? No, don't tell me that. Please. That's the culture. The culture is not, hey, how you feeling today? How's life? That's not the culture. The culture is suck it the fuck up and let's get past it because we might have to go back. So there was plenty of guys in the unit struggling with mental health. You see it. You wake up in the barracks, you know, another Marine is outside in a tent. I found the Marine outside sleeping in the tent. I said, bro, you're not in Iraq no more. You don't got to sleep in the tent. Nah, bro, I'm good. I want to sleep in the tent. I want to stay out here. There's something wrong with that. But he can't go tell the sergeant, I need to go see the psychiatrist because it's looked at as weakness. And weakness is not tolerated.
Do you think you were struggling mentally?
I think the South Bronx might have prepared me a little bit for the Marine Corps. I don't think I was struggling, you know, as much as other guys. Other guys were struggling. You know what I mean? They were really going through it. You know, that's where I learned how to drink. I was never alcoholic, but I learned how to drink in the Marine Corps. You guys think y'all know how to drink? Y'all can't drink. These guys drink. And a lot of guys, you know, they drown their sorrows in Jack Daniels, and they, you know, seeking love, you know, going to the strip club, trying to release whatever trauma you have in a negative way. Because in your unit, you can. They tell you can. They say, yeah, if you have a mental, because when you come back, you got to see the mental health specialist. They got to make sure that you're right. Most guys are going in there lying. Yeah, I'm good. No, I'm good. To be done with it.
So you serve our country. What happens when you leave? Do they set you up for success? Do they give you a plan?
Nah.
Or do they kind of just like leave you at the bus stop and that's it?
Yeah, there's no plan. What ended up happening to me was, when I got back, I wanted to be home. I wanted to be in my community. I wanted to be, you know, with my family. But there was PTSD there. There were certain things there that were not normal, that I wasn't dealing with, because the environment I was in wasn't conducive to sharing, or, like I said, going to see the psychiatrist or telling somebody you have a problem. That's not conducive. So I went back any chance I could. You know, the sergeant would say, you motherfuckers that live in New York, don't drive to New York. You only got 96 hours. Lopez, you in there too. Don't drive to New York. I'm like, no, I'm not driving to New York. As soon as the formation is over, my car's already started. I'm driving to New York. I wanted to be around family. I wanted to be around my community. But I also couldn't let go of the gun. I needed the gun on me. And that's PTSD. I had to have it on me. And that leads to the prison time.
So you were still in the military when you got arrested?
Correct.
Oof. All right, so tell us what happens.
So I'm driving back to New York. New York don't play with guns. If you in New York, don't have a gun. Move to Florida. Florida, they like guns. In New York, you getting fried. You get caught with a gun. They don't care who you are. That's just how it is in New York. So I was going back, but I needed the gun on me. Because in one side of me was saying, man, I just came back from committing legal murders for the United States Marine Corps. Ain't nobody punking me in the hood. It's not happening. You know, I had a chip on my shoulder, so to speak, you know, and anger in my heart. So I had to have the weapon on me. I ended up getting caught. There was something going on called stop and frisk. You know what stop and frisk is?
Yeah.
Yeah, stop and frisk is you a Latino or black kid on the corner with a hoodie on. Hey, you, come over here. There's no stop and frisk in the white neighborhoods, Ian. How many stop and frisk cases is there in the white neighborhoods? There's none because you don't fit the profile. But in the Bronx, you black or Hispanic, you got a hoodie on. Hey, you, come over here. Get against the wall. Oh, he got a gun on him. Get the handcuffs, you know, and there begins the journey. What my mother tried to save me from, I ended up going down that route anyway.
So you took a pistol, a military pistol?
Yeah.
And you weren't allowed to carry at all outside of the base?
They don't care if you're in the military.
It's kind of interesting that, you know, you go serve in a war and you can't even get a carry license or the right to carry after that.
You still got to go through the process like everybody else.
So they stop you, they find the gun on you. Did they give you a chance to explain yourself or anything?
I told them I was in the military, and that changed it for the cops. The cops were like, they looked at each other like, oh, shit. All right. They said, we're going to bring you into the precinct. They called my commanding officer. My commanding officer was like, me getting caught with a gun in Manhattan for the commanding officer, that's a regular Monday. Having a gun for them is like, they don't give a fuck. You know, this is what we do. They get it. And they were like, release him immediately. And they released me.
Oh, so there was no issue.
Yeah, right then.
In the moment.
At the moment, yeah. They said, man, hey, you know, your commanding officer, you know, the commanding officer had to speak to whoever he had to speak to. At the end of the day, they took the cuffs off.
And New York didn't charge you in that moment.
In that moment. And then I was ordered directly back.
Now, technically, were you allowed? I know they said don't leave the base, but were you allowed to leave the base as long as you made it back?
Yeah, I was allowed to leave the base. I wasn't allowed. They didn't want Marines driving how many hours from...
Was that 13 hours?
Exactly. You driving 13 hours going, 13 hours come back. You only got 96 hours liberty. So that's not the time. When they give you a larger block of time is when you're allowed to go, you know, if you live in Phoenix, if you live in California, you live in Connecticut, wherever you live, then you could go. A 96 hour is a break. Stay in the barracks, go out to have a restaurant, stay local. Don't drive to New York. But the New Yorkers, we can't escape it. We wanted to go back.
Did you have any ill intentions with the gun?
No.
You just wanted to, was it like to be cool or do you think it was going back to your childhood self, wanting to be in that street life?
Ian, you know what happens? If they catch you, when you in Iraq, without your rifle for 1 second, that's a problem. How do you turn it off? How do I turn the switch off, Ian? How do I go from, this is my rifle. There are many like it, but this one is mine. My rifle is my best friend. My rifle is my life. I must master it as I must master my life. You tell me, Ian, how to turn it off.
You can't. The only option would be to be confined to that base, and that's no way to live either.
You can't turn it off. It's an expectation that's not there. A Marine that just came 6 months ago from killing got caught with a gun. Is that far-fetched? How far-fetched is that? You tell me.
I don't think it's far-fetched. Granted that there's no ill intentions, which you said they're not.
There's not, even if there was.
I think it would be a different circumstance. If like you're going and hanging out with like a gang or something, you know, that would be different.
But even so, is it far-fetched for a Marine just 6 months ago, you was a hero?
Yeah, it's not far-fetched. I would probably do the same.
You can't sleep without it. You understand what I'm saying, Ian? It's a psychological thing. They train you. You can't sleep without it. If you was, and everybody watching, the millions of people watching out there, anybody that was in the Marine Corps would tell you he's right. It's a safety. You can't be without it. Now I don't want to be near it. You understand what I'm saying? But it took years to get to that point.
So the cops let you out, and then you just drive right away back, or do you finish your 96 hours?
No. Ain't no finishing the 96 hours.
You drive,
get your ass here immediately.
How long were you back for when you got popped? Like a few hours, or?
Yeah. Maybe it was. I got there at night the next day.
Okay, so then you drive back. What are you thinking on that car ride back?
I don't know. I'm thinking I'm good. I'm thinking if they release me, I'm good. I'm gonna just have to deal with, what my unit got in store for me. I thought I was gonna get punished by the Marine Corps, maybe get busted down a rank, get my pay docketed or whatever, and that was gonna be it. I had no idea it was gonna be a way bigger problem than what it was.
So what happens? You get back to the base.
I get back. I go see my sergeant in command, and he says, "We love you, man. This ain't shit for us, but we got the DA calling, blowing up the phone every day for you." The Marine Corps told me, for us, this not a thing. For them, it is, though. They tried to shield me. They tried to keep me. They tried to hold me. They couldn't. The DA, she had a hard on for me. She wanted me back, and she wanted me to go to court. She wanted me on Rikers, and she wanted me in jail.
Why couldn't they let it go?
When does New York let anything go? When does the great state of New York let anything go when it has to do with the people that live in their communities? When do they let it go, Ian? You tell me. When do they let it go? They never let it go.
Unless you're a rich political figure.
Okay. Then they could look. Then they'll look the other way. But if you're a poor kid from the ghetto, and let's keep in mind, 6 months ago, I was a hero. 6 months before that, I was a hero. He's an American hero.
So what happens? Do the cops come and pick you up, or do you?
The Marine Corps tells them he's going to go back. You don't need to come in here and put him in handcuffs. He's going to go back. We know this guy. Y'all know he served in Iraq, right? Yeah, we don't care. I saw the look in the sergeant's eyes. He wanted to cry. I saw the emotion. He knew what was about to happen to me. For them, it's not a thing. And he said, you don't need to come over here and put the handcuffs on him. He told me, because he said, are you going to go back? If I give him my word and I say that you're going to go back, are you going to go back? I said, yeah, I'm going to go back. You got my word. So he told him, y'all not coming over here and putting handcuffs on him. He'll go back. He'll turn himself in. And that's what I did.
And did you get discharged from the military?
I did.
Dishonorably? Or?
No. They wouldn't. My unit wouldn't allow it. I got something that's called an OTH, other than honorable. It's kind of like it's like
a no.
It's not bad, not good.
What is that? Like the no contest type plea in a criminal court?
I guess I can't compare it to that. It's just like I said, it's not a dishonorable, but it's not an honorable. You're in a military purgatory, so to speak.
Did you get to keep your benefits?
Some, but the ones that were really important, they took away.
No. So this was year 3 of the military?
This was year 3. I had a year left.
You had a year left. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you get that discharge before you leave, or does that
I got the discharge on Rikers.
Oh, on Rikers, you get the pay. So
yeah, it was in C-73. I got the paperwork.
You were still having hope that you would be able to stay in? Or did you know it was shot at that point?
Nah, they told me. My unit told me they want you, bro. They want you. You see, it depends on what political climate you're in. That was the time when they were like, we're against the war in Iraq. What do you mean? Yeah, you guys are bad. Y'all over there killing people. You guys are bad. We're against it. No more Iraq. That's what America does.
So you get back to New York, you go and turn yourself in?
I get back to New York, I turn myself in. My parents are going through it. In my mother's mind, she was like, I thought I was about to be freed from this. I thought this was not happening. And I ended up going down that route. We could laugh about it now, but at the time we thought the world was ending. Like I said, the DA wanted prison time. She wanted prison time. And one memory that sticks out in my mind, and I still remember it to this day, is sitting in the courtroom, my first court hearing. I spent 3 months in the Tombs in Manhattan. It's like the county. I didn't go to Rikers yet. That was going to be fun, but I didn't go there yet. I'm in the Tombs. I go to my first court hearing, and I got my unit in the back. Sergeants, Marines, somehow they knew, and they all took the trip to be there to support me. And then the DA says, he's a killer. He was probably in Iraq killing babies. He needs to be in prison. And at that moment, I was having an out-of-body experience, Ian. I was outside my body watching myself in the courtroom. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that 6 months ago, I was an American hero. And now I have this DA woman who I bet if we played anybody, you, whoever, if I play the tape of your life back, there'll be things that you did that you weren't proud of. Ian, right? Yes or no?
Of course.
Her, the judge, whoever.
Anyone in life.
Everybody makes mistakes. They never asked the question, is he good mentally? He was in the Marine Corps. There's a bunch of Marines here. He was just in Iraq committing legal murders on our behalf so that you could be a DA and you, judge, could sit in that in that seat. Because I'm sure if I was her son, I'm sure if I was her nephew, if I was her husband, the vibe would be different, Ian. Yes or no?
Correct.
The vibe would be, let's sit down with him, man. Let's have a conversation. Maybe he has PTSD. Maybe he sleeps with the gun under his pillow every night still. Maybe we need to have a sit down and talk to him. He's one of us. He's a Marine who served overseas on behalf of his country. Because if I was a rich white kid, a politician's son, that kills people in a DUI driving, kills a whole family, mother, father, the kid, the dog even died. They get probation. I've seen it. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, I've seen it. You killed the whole family. Nah, he's good, give him probation. You telling me that my circumstance didn't warrant probation? Come on, bro.
What was the official charge that they booked you with?
Criminal possession of a weapon.
And they didn't give you bail? You said you were in the county.
I had bail. I didn't bail out.
Why?
My mother was gonna. I didn't.
Did you know you were doing time and you just figured start running?
Yeah, I didn't. To show you where my mind state was at.
You were just kind of giving up.
Yeah.
How much time were you facing?
I ended up taking a plea, a 4-year plea. I got an extra year and a half for cursing her out in the courtroom.
The judge or the prosecutor?
The DA.
So, but when you first get booked and you meet with a lawyer, how much time do you face?
3.5.
It was only 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay. For a first-time offense?
No criminal record. A Marine. Decorated. Combat veteran. It never crossed their mind that we should intervene before we throw him in prison. But like I said, the political climate at that time, was we were the bad guys.
And it wasn't an act of a crime with the gun. It was just possession.
They try to put a robbery on it. They try to put a robbery because I was hanging out with my friends. So they you know, if people don't know the criminal justice system, they don't know a lot of the times the DA is trying to throw shit up there and see what sticks. You know what I'm saying? That's what they doing. They trying to throw all the charges at you they could throw to see what sticks. I ended up just getting busted for the gun.
So do you think they were after you because of who you were with? Were they troubled people?
No, the DA made it clear. He is a potential threat to society. She was against the war, and she didn't like this war in Iraq. She was against it, and she was on a mission that if you was in the military or if you was somebody like me who was in Iraq doing what it is that we do, you make a mistake, you come across her desk, you doing jail time. Period.
How long are you in there for before you actually take the plea deal?
I did 2 years before I took the plea.
So that was between county and Rikers?
That was between county and Rikers. My lawyer's like, you're not going home, brother. You know.
Why did they switch you from the county to Rikers?
Just to keep the rotation going. New guys coming in. Oh, you know, the guys that been there for a while, you going to the island.
Tell us that experience on Rikers Island as a U.S. Marine.
It's not even as a U.S. Marine. I'll tell you the experience just as a regular person. Rikers Island, the only thing that could have prepared me for Rikers Island was Iraq. Rikers Island is like hell on earth. As soon as you get on the bus and you go across the bridge, you realize, yo, this some shit. I'm really in it. You get to the holding pen, dudes is crying, dudes is stabbed. On Rikers, the inmates run Rikers, not the correction officers. That's what it is.
When was the first time you realized that at Rikers?
When I got there and I got into the bullpen, I realized when I saw a gang member that was a friend of mine from my neighborhood, and I saw that he was running around, moving from bullpen to bullpen, and the officers were opening the bullpen doors for him, and he was doing whatever he wanted, I knew that this was a dysfunctional place. The COs are not doing the job. They give the job to the inmates.
Did being locked up and kind of in a cage trigger PTSD at all from Iraq?
That's a great question. I would say PTSD is triggered by normal things. It was just, it's called compounding PTSD. That's what I like to call it. PTSD on top of PTSD. So you go from the Marine Corps, you go from Iraq eating MRE, shitting in buckets, killing people every day, to being in Rikers. So I felt right at home, so to speak.
It wasn't a hard adjustment.
No.
If anything, the conditions were probably a little bit better.
Yeah. A tiny bit, Ian. Just a little bit.
You got some bathrooms.
Yeah. We got toilets.
How did the correctional officers treat you?
They don't give a fuck.
They didn't care that
they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They don't care you was in the Marine Corps, you was this, you was that. When you on Rikers, you that DIN number. That's you that number. You ain't shit. Inmate. So I went from being called the Marine to being called an inmate.
How did that make you feel?
I was angry. I was angry at the system. I was angry that I didn't get the leniency that I expected based on what I went through. They went from 0 to 60. They went from being an American hero to being an inmate. It was rough because mentally I was like, you know, you get in that stage, and you know you was locked up. You get in that stage when, you know, you feel bad for yourself in the beginning. You know, you think you're a victim in the beginning, and then you gotta be able to conquer that and realize that you're the one that put you here. And then once you get that, you're able to grow and move on and get rid of the stinking thinking.
When you're in there, do you feel like you're still a soldier, kind of following rules, obeying orders, or does it kind of shift you into, okay, I'm an inmate now, I'm one of these guys from the street?
Yeah, I shifted to the street mentality. I was already familiar with it. I knew the Marine Corps couldn't help me. I knew that was done. The day I got to Rikers Island, I closed that chapter. When I got those papers and they said you're no longer in the Marine Corps, I realized that's over with. I got to get past it.
When do you think that first real shift was physically in there? Did you have to do something to another inmate? Did you get in any altercations?
Yeah, I mean, the shift happened, I would say, the day that I got the paperwork, and I realized the Marine Corps wasn't going to come save me. That's when I realized that, hey, you know, it's time to turn it up. You know, it's the gangster shit now. And Rikers was just Rikers. It was violence every day. Like I said, the inmates ran ran the houses. Like I said, my buddies were there. The guys from the neighborhood were there on the island. So I was right at home.
Do you feel like you finally got a taste of what you were searching for as a kid, being in that street life?
I feel like I finally understood my mother and what she was trying to keep me away from. I didn't understand it when I was young, but I feel like at that moment, I realized this is what she didn't want.
Did you realize in that moment that's not what you wanted either?
Yeah. I said, she tried. She really tried. This is what she was trying to save me from. And I didn't want that. I realized that day one on the Rikers Island, I realized this is not what I want for my life. I don't want to have to be making these prison meals and getting your shit tossed every day. The COs is, I got my cell search every day for some reason. That's not what I wanted. That's not the place that I wanted to be. I didn't want to deal with that.
Tell us the worst thing you witnessed at Rikers during your time there.
So when I got on the island, I know a lot of people come on your platform and, everybody has a story to tell when they tell their story. When I got on Rikers, I met some Trinitarios, some good brothers. And one guy that was in my neighborhood, that was from my neighborhood, became a Trinitario on Rikers Island. And we were going to the barbershop. When you on Rikers, don't go to the barbershop. Don't even go eat chow. The safest place for you is in the cell. Once you leave that housing unit, anything can happen at any time. And I became acclimated with my environment. I carried a razor with me. I was already violent, so getting into altercations was not the issue for me. I walked around like if anybody touched me, they getting their face cut. I immersed myself in the environment that I was in. That's what I was good at. When I was in Iraq, I was there. When I was on the island, when I was in prison, I was there. I had the ability to turn off wanting to be in the street, to turn it off and just get in survival mode, because that's what I am. I'm a survivor. One of the craziest things I've seen on Rikers, I don't want to say the craziest. I'm trying to go back in my memory bank. You got me, preparing for the interview. I've having to go back and think and relive all these memories. I seen a guy spit a razor out from underneath his tongue and do some shit with it. That's when I said, oh, yeah, this is the major leagues of criminality in here. He had 2 razors in his mouth. I tried to do it, cut my gums immediately. I said, this ain't for me. I'm not this skilled. So I seen him spit the razor out and cut a guy right in the barbershop. Boom, $1.50. He got through the mag with the razor. Who let him through the mag with the razor? The CO. Because you got to go through the mag, right? But like I said, the COs are the gang members. The COs are how'd he get the razor? It was a razor from the street. How'd he get it? The CO gave it to him.
Do you think people lie about the jail and prison stories?
Yeah, definitely.
Why do you say that?
Lie in what way? What do you mean? Like sensationalize it?
Or just make them up?
I mean, what, like on the platform? Like, what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. You're someone that has watched every episode, and you've also been to Rikers,
Yeah. I mean, I think some of it is, they want to tell you what you want to hear. So it depends. Everybody's not meant to be on these platforms.
What I've noticed from my experience is that I think people study other people's episodes and they're thinking that it needs to be a certain way when all they have to do is just be themselves.
Absolutely.
And that will normally do the best.
Yeah.
Is what I've realized. That you don't even have to give a crazy story. You just have to be raw and genuine and it'll hit with the people.
Absolutely.
It's like the algorithm detects that.
You have to come in on these, if this is what you want to do, if you want to come on these platforms and you want to go viral, people will read through that. That's why I'm not wearing shades. Because I want you to look at my face. I want you to see my face.
The sunglass things are funny when people come
Yeah.
and wear the sunglasses.
That's what I didn't want to do. Because I'm not coming on this platform to tell my story just to come on this platform. I flew from Miami to come here. I'm coming on this platform to inspire people, to let people know you're not your greatest mistake, to let people know you have a future, even if you wasn't in prison. But it's up to you to change. Prison didn't change me. Prison didn't reform me. I reformed myself and God. So when you come in on these platforms and you're not genuine, you're not telling your real story, you're not helping no one. You just coming on here capping. But I'm from the South Bronx, Ian. We don't cap.
I respect that. So after the 2 years, you take the plea deal for 4?
For the 4.
For the 4. That's 4 flat or?
The 4 flat.
So does
with
that
5 years post-release.
So 4 flat and you already served 2, does that mean you get released at sentencing?
Nah, I still gotta do, you gotta do,
It's
what,
not like
85?
it's 85.
Yeah, you gotta do more time.
Okay, so there was no option for like 50% parole or anything.
Nah. You're gonna do the time. You're gonna go to Rikers. You're gonna be on Rikers and discover that dysfunctional, environment. And then they're gonna send you upstate. So you have to do the rest of the time. And then you gotta come out and you gotta do double jeopardy. You gotta do the double jeopardy. You gotta do your time, and then you gotta come home and do 5 years in post-release. If you piss wrong, you going back upstate.
What did the judge say?
You see how it works?
Yeah. What did the judge say to you at sentencing?
The judge was very quiet. The judge was very reserved, very quiet. I think he felt bad for me.
Did you speak at sentencing?
No.
Do you think if you spoke, it would have changed the outcome?
No.
Why?
I spoke. I cursed the ass out.
Oh, you cursed the prosecutor. Yeah, you did say that.
Yeah, that's what I spoke. I was very angry. Not by, you see, it wasn't the being held accountable that was making me angry, Ian. It was what she said. Because you wasn't there. She wasn't there pulling the trigger. She had no right to say what she said because she wasn't there pulling the trigger. So that's what made me upset. Not being held accountable. I was ready to do my time.
So did you curse her out before he handed down the sentence or after?
I cursed her up after she called me a menace.
But that was before you got sentenced.
That was the day that I took the plea.
But before the judge actually said this is your sentence?
She was recommending more time. She wanted 5. She wanted a total of 10. She wanted 5 on up north, and she wanted 5 post-release. The judge was like, come on.
So do you think you cursing her out affected your sentence at all?
Yeah.
So,
I got the extra half.
Okay, so if you didn't do that, you would have got a little less time.
Probably, I would have got just the 3.5.
How much time did you have to do upstate?
I can't remember the exact months. I mean, we could look. If you do a 4-year sentence, you do, I did almost 2 on Rikers. So almost 2 on Rikers. You got another maybe like 20 months to do.
Where upstate did they send you?
So I landed in Fishkill Correctional Facility.
Oh, right here. You know, funny, I was on Facebook and I saw one of those police scanner Facebook groups. I guess there was like a riot or something the other day because it said like multiple EMS called, COs down. It was like a whole thing the other day.
Yeah, so when I got to downstate, one of my bros was like, he came from Fishkill to do a dental procedure in downstate. He was like, yo, you got to go to Fishkill. It's sweet. I'm like, word? He's like, yeah, bro, you got to go to Fishkill. They got trailers. I wanted, you know what I'm saying? They got trailers. They got this, they got that. And they just started to tell me like, yo, that's where you want to be. I didn't want to go to be in Buffalo or, they'll send you 12 hours away. And I wanted visits. I knew it was more conducive for me to be, I'm an hour away from the Bronx. I'm going to be on the visit floor every week. I had people that love me and wanted to see me. So I said, yo, how do I get there? What do I got to do? He said, act like you're going to kill yourself. They're going to send you to Fishkill because that's the #1 mental health facility in the state. So I got back. That was during child. I got back and I said, damn, man. Do I really want to do it? Because you know what happens when you try to fake like you're going to kill yourself. The COs is going to beat your ass. They tell you, don't play with that. Don't fake hang up. Because if you fake hang up, we're going to go in that cell and whoop that ass. So I said, fuck it. I'm going to Fishkill, man. They're not going to send me up north. So I take the sheet off the bed. I do it right before count time when the CO is going to walk around. So I put the sheet around my neck. The CO's like, Lopez, take the sheet, stop the bullshit. I know you're not killing you. This is what he literally says. I seen your girl on the visit floor. I know you ain't trying to die in here. Take the sheet off of your neck. I still got the sheet. The CO is trying to warn me. He's like, I'm going to press the button. If I press the button, they're going to come up here. What they're going to do? I refuse. He presses the button. I hear the rumblings of the footsteps with the Ninja Turtles. We call them the Ninja Turtles. They got the shield, they got the helmet, they got the baton, and they coming in there to use it. So they go in there, they beat me up a little bit. They put me they take me to the psych. They put you in the cell naked. You don't got no clothes. For 24 hours, you're naked in there. I'm in there naked 24 hours. Yo, why you want to kill yourself? I said, I was in the Marine Corps. I was in Iraq. Fucking lying. Next day they come back. Yo, you was in the Marine Corps. You in Iraq. All right, we're going to give you mental health. They put on your paperwork. He's a bug out on the paperwork. We're giving you mental health. So that landed me in Fishkill.
So you did this all to get moved to a different prison?
Nah, I was in downstate. I didn't want to get shipped all the way up north. I wanted visits. So I do this, taking the advice of one of my friends, and ends up working. So I fake try to kill myself. I knew once they saw my jacket and once they seen, yo, this guy's the real deal. He was in Iraq and all of that. For real, they couldn't refuse it. No psych is going to tell you, nah, you're good when you got that type of paperwork and you got that jacket that you was in the infantry, you was in Iraq. They take that shit serious, whether you're going to kill yourself or not. Obviously, we know some brothers come from that environment and they factory reset themselves because they can't deal with the trauma. So I ended up going to Fishkill.
That's a women's prison too? They have women and men?
Downstate?
Fishkill. Is that downstate that you're referring to? Or
No, I went to Fishkill. Downstate is the holding facility.
Okay. So
Fishkill is where you get your number, what they call the DIN number, is where they figure out where they're going to send you, is where you go after you get sentenced.
Okay, so Fishkill, is that women's and men?
No, there's no women's and men's. It's just men's.
Now is it women?
I have no idea.
Okay, gotcha.
All of my friends,
And what is that designated as, like a low security prison?
It's a medium.
A medium, okay.
It's a medium. There's a fence, there's barbed wire. It's not a max, it's a medium. But it's a mental health facility. So they have mental health units, they have a lot of psychs on. So if you are in that hub, Sing Sing, Fishkill, downstate, I forget, Ian, it's a long time. Downstate, if you in that hub and you got some mental health going on, 9 times out of 10, they're going to send you to Fishkill Correctional Facility.
So even though you faked the issues, you were still struggling from your time overseas. Do you think you genuinely got help?
Who? In prison?
Yeah.
Nah.
At this facility?
Nah.
No?
Yeah. I did that so that I could go to Fishkill. And it was one of the best decisions I made.
They didn't help you over there?
Nah, I mean, what they're going to do? You want meds? Nah, I don't want meds. That's all they're going to do. You're going to go see the psych. So the psych don't give a fuck, Ian. You're going to go see the psych. You want meds? Yes or no? I see the meds guys on the medication. They like zombies.
It's kind of crazy how prison hasn't really evolved at all when it comes to the mental health aspect, because that was 2004 or 5, 6? 2006. And when I went to prison, 2016, it's the same crap. You have an issue? Meds for everything.
That's how they solve the problems, Ian. And I realized when I saw the guys on the meds, and, I was a guy of a certain integrity, of a certain status. I didn't want to be on meds. I felt like, at that time, I felt like it's less than, you like an addict, And I grew up in hip-hop culture, you glorify the dealer, not the addict. So I didn't, and I felt like, I genuinely felt like meds wasn't going to help me. It was never an option for me.
How is Fishkill compared to Rikers?
Much better. Much better. the violence on upstate, I say people try to stay away from it because the good and bad things about Fishkill was that there was a lot of guys there that had the L in the back. They 25 to life, 20 to life. There were guys that were in other prisons upstate, Clinton, Attica, Green Haven. They would, after a certain amount of time, they would lower the classification and lower it to a medium, and that's where these guys were going. It was a benefit because you had guys that had heads on their shoulders. You had reformed gangsters who wanted to help and wanted to teach you and wanted to say, hey, you here because of you. The Marine Corps ain't put you here. The DA ain't put you here. You here because of you. And, God always blessed me. I got around some really, guys that had a lot of time. Shout out my brother Al Alicate. And it was guys that genuinely had love for me. People come on these on your platform and, they tell what their truth is. And a lot of guys had bad experiences because of the people that they were around. I was always blessed to be around shot callers, guys who had respect in the state. But most importantly, guys who thought they were never going to get out and wanted me to live vicariously through them. And they used to tell me, Tone, you special. This is not for you, bro. You got to get out there and make it. You're going to make it to help us get out. So I was embraced with love. And some people would think, he got to be lying. There can't be love in prison. There's love in prison. There's love everywhere. In the worst places on earth, there's love. There's somebody that'll take a liking to you and say, hey, man, you better than this. This is how you changed. This is how I changed. And I ran into those guys in Fishkill. And that's what helped me.
And you think they kept you out of trouble in prison? Those influences?
They tried. They tried. But also, these guys were walking a thin line. When you're locked up and, you going home in less than 2 years and your best friends are guys that got 25 to life, they live by a certain standard. They're not letting the CO talk to them any kind of way. And I'm looking at them like, damn, it's the CO. They looking at me like, what you mean? He gotta go. Like, these guys are serious. I don't feel like I would have found that in other mediums or in other places where it's a bunch of, the OG is 21. You're not gonna find that type of discipline. These guys waking up, working out. Wake up, work out. We don't do drugs. We love everybody, but if anybody crosses us, they out of here. These were my friends. These were the guys that I was around all the time, 24/7.
Now, you came out of prison in that era where it was really frowned upon to be a felon, to have been in prison, anything like that.
Yeah.
How was that for you?
A turning point for me was when I got to Fishkill. Rest in peace, my brother Mike Chenier. He took his own life in Florida when he came home years ago. He was the coordinator of a program called ART, Anger Replacement Training. And he said, man, if you help us in ART, if you help us teach this program, they'll cut your time a little bit. You had to be a certain type of person, Ian, to do this program. You were interviewed by like the warden of the prison to do this program because you had to be somebody that was respected by the population, because anybody who had a violent crime, murder, robbery, assault, they had to take ART. Anybody that been up north, they know. They had to take ART in order to get their good time. I had 6 months good time. I wanted all of that. I need to be leaving here expeditiously. And you had to be of a certain type of respect, because you can't sit there and teach a class of 20 inmates and tell the inmate that got 2 bodies, your thinking is wrong. You need to be accountable. You know what's accountability? That could be a problem. That could be a problem in the yard. That could be a problem in in the classroom. So they wanted a certain type of person to teach this program. So the inmates that ran the program, we had 5 lifers that ran the program, they picked the person. They made the suggestion, yo, we think Tone is good enough to teach the program. He has respect on the compound. He speaks well. He was a Marine, and he really cares. Because you can't fake that. You can't fake, I really care, man. I want you to go home. I know you got nothing to go home to, but I want you to go home. You got to do this program to go home, bro. You got to be able to pass the test. I got to teach you and prepare you for the test at the end of the program so that you could get your good time, bro. I want you to get that good time. You can't fake that. You can't fake that. So I ended up teaching ART, and that was another turning point for me. Waking up early, preparing the curriculum, taking it serious. You know, going there, you know, teaching these skills, saying, hey, boys fight, men talk. Because communication, what's the biggest conception about communication, Ian? The biggest conception about communication is that it has been achieved. What Nas said, you need to chill if you short. Prepare in deep thought to hit the streets again. I wrote that. I had that written in the classroom. Because if you short, you got to chill. Prepare yourself for the streets so that you don't got to go back because you have 5 years post-release supervision. And they want you to go back as the prison industrial complex. New York State is making millions from that DIN number that you got. And I really took that job seriously. That helped me pass the time. It gave me purpose. And it gave me purpose, and I realized, hey, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be inspiring other people. That's my job. That's my gift. My gift is the ability to talk that shit, how we say in the Bronx. And I utilized that gift in the ART program, teaching the inmates. You know, a lot of them, after they passed, they would see me in the yard and be like, yo, Tone, man, fuck, man, you was busting my balls in the class, making me do the test and all that shit, but I got my good time. And I wouldn't have made it without you. Because a lot of them want to quit. Fuck that, I'm going to max out. I never understood that. What do you mean you want to max out? You want to do the whole time? You're bugging. How I'm going to tell a guy who was stabbing everybody in Clinton, now he's in Fishkill looking at me, I'm about to go home in 16 months, I'm telling him he's bugging. But they were receptive because they knew I cared. And seeing those guys go home and telling me I was one of the reasons why they got to go home, that was all the fulfillment, that was all the reward I needed.
Did your parents stay supportive throughout your sentence?
Of course. My parents came to see me, you know, every week. My wife came to see me. My daughter and her mother were living in Miami at the time. That's why I ended up relocating over there. Because I told myself, man, if it gets dark and I got to wash cars, shout out to all my, you know, everybody working at the car wash. We love you. I love you. Shout out to them. But what I'm saying is, if it gets dark and I got to wash cars, Ian, as long as I could take my daughter to school in the morning, it's all worth it. It's all worth it. That's why I ended up moving to Miami, and it was one of the best decisions I ever made. But my wife would fly my daughter. She'd go get her, bring her to. I always have visits. I lived like Goodfellas in prison. It's nothing that you could have in prison that I didn't have. You know, my commissary was always on max. You know, I had a chef. I had, you know, I lived like the Sopranos in prison.
What kind of food would the chef make you?
Oh, man, you know, I'm Dominican, so we like tres golpes. You ever had tres golpes? Ian, for real?
I had mofongo.
Mofongo's Puerto Rican. So it's the same. It's the mashed plantains. In essence, it's the same thing, okay? Just two cultures make it differently. So you had the Puerto Rican mofongo. That's great. I got to bring you the tres golpes next time I come see you.
I probably had it. I just don't know the name because I've had Dominicans cook for me.
Yeah. So we had the tres golpes going. You know, we had, you know, the seafood rice going. Anytime I came back from the yard, my bowl was there full. I never washed a dish.
Were you one of those people that put on weight in prison rather than
Yeah.
lose weight?
Yeah. I put on prison weight. I hit the I was hit the weights and stuff. I was bigger. I had more muscle mass, but I never went to the mess hall. I never went to chow. They called chow. I was sleeping. I was one of the guys that always had somebody there cooking with them. Cooking for me. Washing my bowls. I said, man, if I'm gonna be in here, I'm gonna live in here as good as possible.
So you met your wife in the military?
No, I met her before that.
Oh, before you even went into the service. Oh, and you guys got married young.
Yeah. We got married in Fishkill Correctional Facility. I don't know if she wants me to tell her this.
Oh, you guys got married there. Okay.
Yeah. She was crazy enough.
She stayed supportive though.
Yeah, she was crazy enough to marry me in Fishkill Correctional Facility. Shout out my wife.
Did you give her a real wedding after or no?
Nah, she didn't. I gave her other stuff.
Okay.
Honeymoon? I gave her a honeymoon. I gave her a son. I gave her a supportive husband, somebody that's gonna be there, ride or die. A lot of prison relationships, they end when you get out. We've been married, seems like forever. And she was supportive. She was there with me throughout the whole time. And, I told her, I said, listen, it's not the movies. I'm going to do jail for real. And she said, I believe in you. I think you're a good man, and I'm going to stay with you. And she stayed with me, and we got married in Fishkill.
What was the biggest challenge when you got out of prison?
I mean, everybody goes through the financial stuff, trying to find a job. You worked at Whole Foods.
Best decision I ever made.
Yeah.
I always tell people that when they come here.
Yeah. I'm not the type of guy to sit on my ass. I need to, when I got home, I got straight to it. I wanted to be in the hip hop space. I tried so many things. My wife was supportive with me in my journey of trying this and trying that and trying that. I'm like you. We are entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurial spirit. So I came out. I was doing working here, working there. But I think the biggest challenge for me was just finding all right, now what? I went from these extremes, from Iraq to prison and from the streets before that. So it was just trying to find what's my lane. What do I want to do? I knew I was never going back, but just finding my lane. I feel like finding what I wanted to do and how I wanted to live the rest of my life. But having that family structure there when I got out helped me a lot because I knew I was safe. As long as I was around family, I was safe. And I told myself, no matter what, as long as you got your freedom, you good. So I didn't stress.
Now, this is, over 10 years now, almost 15.
Shout out Wu Energy.
Ric Flair. So this is almost like 15 years since you've been out of prison.
Yeah. I was released, yeah.
Do you feel like you accomplished what you set out to do after prison? Those promises you made to yourself?
Yeah, I got off parole. I accomplished that. I said, they're not going to violate me. I got out parole. That was my biggest accomplishment. The day that I went to go sign the papers, I was like, God is the greatest. I'm finally off of this. Because you walking on eggshells when you're on parole. You could go back upstate in a New York minute. You back in Fishkill. So when I signed those papers, that was one of the greatest days of my life. The day I was released, the warden in Fishkill at the time, he shook my hand and he told me, he found out I was a Marine and all that. And he saw what I did with ART and how we grew the program and how a lot of inmates were saying, man, these guys that you got teaching the program are great guys. So I began to get that respect from the staff. And he shook my hand and he said, I know you're not coming back. He said, I'm not going to see you again because I know you're not coming back. I think he felt like everybody else. He felt like that I was destined for more and that I wasn't coming back. He was right on that. And I told him, yeah, you're right.
If there was one lesson prison taught you, what do you think it is?
That's a good question. I never thought of that. I never gave that any thought. I feel like it taught me gave me ultimate confidence. It gave me the understanding that nobody was going to come and save me. If I wanted to correct my life and I wanted to be successful, it's 100% on my back. It depends on me. And anybody who's watching this, I want you to know that. nobody's gonna come and save you. Your mother can't save you. Your father can't save you. You have to take that look in the mirror and know, hey, it's me. I'm gonna be the one to get me out. And you have to change your mentality because the system is against you. If you a young Latino or black kid growing up in the hood, they want to keep you there. But you have to look into yourself, find your talent, what you're good at, and what you love to do, what you would do for free, nurture that talent, and that's going to take you everywhere you want to go. And don't let your emotions and a temporary feeling give you a long-term consequence, because there's guys that are not coming out. There's guys that are not coming out, that they got life, and they wish they would have the opportunity to come out and sit here with you and do what we're doing right now.
Now, we were talking off camera before we started about kind of your mentality now and how you're not waiting for someone else to come save you. I think that's so relatable for our audience, because I get so many people that come in asking to connect them to this person, that person, because that person could help them get to the next level. So if you kind of want to share what your mindset is now.
Absolutely.
And what your plans are for the future.
People will only help you if you're helping yourself. Nobody, even when you're in prison, if you're scared to fight or scared to defend yourself, nobody else is going to save you. So people only help you if you help yourself. So you got to be able to create those opportunities, especially in business. Like we was talking about in business, you have opportunity and you have leverage. If you don't have the leverage, you got to look for the opportunity in order to create that leverage. And everybody has a story. And you look at the rappers now, even the rappers are podcasting. That goes to show you, so if you young, all the guys that want to be rappers, there's no more this, unless you're Playboy Cardi or NBA Youngboy, the labels is not spending a ton of money no more for these rappers. They spend $2 million to get back 2.1 if they get it back. So all the rappers now are starting podcasts because there's value in telling your story. And everybody's story is unique. And if you're genuine and you put in the work, people will help you. So, that's the next steps, is creating the platform, Streets on Music on YouTube. And we're going to hit that hard.
What's something you want to tell your teenage self?
Don't listen to nobody. Don't listen to nobody. Follow your dreams and follow your heart. I think there was a lot of things that I wanted to do. And whether it was my environment or, other people, they discourage you based on their own trauma. So they couldn't make it. So they want to trauma bond with you. So they want to tell you, nah, you're not going to make it. It's like that teacher that tells you you're never going to go to college. That teacher that tells you that is dealing with hurt. Hopefully he or she can get past it, because that's not what you tell a kid. When I see kids now, my own kids or your kids, whoever's kids, I try to, water them, instill in them. I told my daughter, you could be anything you want to be. You just got to work hard and stay consistent and put your heart into it and be true to yourself. And I try to pass those gems on, because that's what it's about. It's about passing the gems to the next generation and empowering the next generation and opening the eyes of the young kids in the ghetto and letting them know there's more than the Bronx. Leave the Bronx. There's more than your neighborhood. You ever been to California? You ever been to Miami? Exposure is everything. When you expose the young generation to different things, not saying I wasn't exposed. My mother took me on vacations and, did things like that. But mentally, you think there's only your neighborhood. And that's not true. There's more to life than just your neighborhood. So I would tell myself just to follow your heart and not be, not be so pressured by what other people think and other people's expectations of you. Because nobody's born a criminal. It's a learned behavior. It's something that you learn to do. And they put that title on you because you made a mistake or you did this. Hey, he's a criminal. But you wasn't born that way. You don't have to be your father. You don't have to be your grandfather. You can be different, breaking the cycle, because that's what it's about. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about saying, hey, I didn't have my father around. I'm going to be a good father. I'm going to be there for my kids. And that's what it's all about. And, that's the journey I'm on. The journey I'm on is to use social media. Technology has made a way for everybody. Everybody got a voice now. You see your comments. Everybody's still, yo, this, that. Everybody has a voice, and everybody has the ability to share their experiences and share what they're going through and how they feel. Whether it's good enough for people to repost it or for your platform to grow, that's on you. What's the difference between one rapper from the next? They both got the same story. One just tells it better. So that's what it's all about. It's all about using these platforms to inspire. I told you before we got on air that you inspired me, to work on my platform and work on myself. And just the preparation in coming here has opened up my eyes and opened up opportunities and opened up, it put a flame under the wood, so to speak. And that's what it's about. That's what it's about. The gang can't save you. New York City is. When I was growing up, you had gangs, but it wasn't. Now it's gangs in New York out here now. Everybody's in a gang. The gang can't save you. They can't save you. You're going to end up on Rikers. You're going to end up in Fishkill. You're going to end up in Clinton Correctional Facility picking up cigarette butts for 25 cents an hour. So you can't work at the supermarket because that's degrading. Because in the streets, we praise the drug dealer or we praise the guy that comes home from prison. When I came home from prison, I was a celebrity in my block, Ian. Oh, we love you. When I came back from Iraq, it wasn't the same. The guy that comes back from Yale getting a master's, he don't get praised. The guy that comes back from prison gets praised. So it's a lot of work that has to be done in these neighborhoods. It's a lot of work. And it's going to take guys like you and guys like me to get on these platforms and give this information so that people are able to change. Because it's all about the mentality. It's the stinking thinking. That's what they call it up north, stinking thinking. And that's what it's about. It's about changing the mindset of the youth. Because I'd rather talk to a young person. When I talk to guys my age or older, these guys got everything figured out. All right, got you. I have a 2-second conversation with you. Once I feel like you got everything figured out, I'm good. I can't waste my time on you. I'd rather talk to young people. So that's the goal. The goal is to be able to, I seen when you went into the prison to do the pizza party, and I seen the look on the eyes of the inmates. And being locked up, what that meant for them. Somebody looking outside, Ian, they're like, pizza party, this guy thinks he's Martin Luther King. It's not about that. It's about getting that relief for that time. Because that pizza, when you locked up, that shit is everything. Mm-hmm. Look at hip-hop culture. Look at what's happening in Atlanta. It's turmoil. Young Thug, the guy this is the ultimate street guy. He's a rat. He's not a rat.
It's crazy. It's so silly.
Snitching is part of the street. When I grew up, when I was coming up, the guys that was in the street, they told me, Tone, snitching is a part of the street. You know that, right? It's not a surprise somebody snitches. But they idolizing these guys in the rap lyrics and saying this and that. Stay away from the street completely. Because there's no value. There's no 401k. There's no long term. There's death or prison. Everybody comes, I'm going to be the guy to change it. I'm going to do things differently. Stinking thinking. You're not no smarter than the last guy that caught the life bid. Okay? So, it's something that is up the politics of the street that causes the people to think, this guy's a snitch, this guy's not a snitch, this guy's this guy's that. Forget about that. Don't even be in the street because there's nothing there. But you got to be able to find options. There's a million ways out the hood, but no signs say out. You need to get options. You need options. What can you do? You know what's your option? Find what you're good at. What's your talent? What would you do for free? That's what I mean. I tell young people immediately, what would you do for free? Oh, my daughter, I design clothes, even if I didn't get paid. Okay, that's your passion. I go to my neighborhood because you got me flying over here, coming to my neighborhood again. I go to my neighborhood and I see nothing has changed. It's all the same guys. And if it's not the same guys, it's different faces, the same circus with different clowns. Search within yourself. Find what it is that you love and pursue that. We living in 2025.
Tone, I appreciate you coming on the show today, man.
Ian, thank you for having me on the platform. My goal was to come on here and inspire, so I hope I did that.
Absolutely. And go back and enjoy Miami.
Absolutely.